Maybe even expand on y'all's implementation a bit, just the pace and rigor and those pieces.
If you've ever drank water out of a fire hose, then you know how we implemented. We had about 45 days from the time that we kind of had our conversation to when our contracts were going to run out on some of our things. And so we didn't want to renew those contracts because we knew that basically we were going to be paying for a year of service that we wouldn't get. And as HR, there were a couple of those systems that I had just really had my threshold with customer service. We were paying astronomical fees for, and we were just getting nothing from them. And so I had kind of put my foot down a year earlier and said, if something doesn't change, we're moving away. And so we just bit the bullet and we did it, and we implemented the whole entire thing at one time, which looking back was probably not the smartest thing to do, but we made it work. And, there's still some of the modules we don't use fully, but we did pretty much jump in with 2 feet. And it was hectic at the time, but I also think, they say you learn best by total immersion. Well, we learned really well.
And it's interesting, y'all remember earlier when Terry was talking about we're just people too. So that was 2-3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago at this point. We have an amazing team now. We did then too, but I was doing a lot of the implementation. And so I think, signed the contract June 1st. July 1st was our go live. And my wife had our second baby July 5th of that year. So I was paternity leave plus Jeff Davis plus, again, we're people too, have feelings and emotions like the rest of us. So yes, we've been on quite the journey. And it's funny because, Hunter always uses the phrase in our kickoff calls, you're the driver, I'm the GPS. I think looking back, you probably wish we'd have just drove so we could have went slower. But we guide, and it all worked out to be good. And I think in y'all's case, it was good to just rip the Band-Aid off and just go for it. But I think it does speak to, and you guys could, hop in and talk about y'all's implementation journeys. Everybody's journey is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all, and there's this process that we allow everybody to go through that you get to pick kind of what works for y'all. So maybe you jump in and talk about y'all's implementation a little bit.
Yeah, thankfully we didn't do it all at once. I'm not sure I would be able to survive that, but we did a little bit more of a slow implementation where we started with leave and then felt like we got that module down, and we understood the ins and outs and all the moving pieces, and then looked forward to what was next on our calendar. And so I think at that point, it may have been contracts. And so we learned the contract module, then we started customizing. Barrow's famous for customizing. Hunter's smiling in the back. And then did that module, and then employee documents, and we just grew as really our calendar did, is what was happening next for the yearly calendar for human resources.